So here we are in Blender, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I'm Kevin from MRU Studios, and today we're going to be talking about it's an update to the last tutorial I did that discusses how to reassign mesh vertices to vertex groups. I talked about that in my last stream, but I'm going to talk about it here too because I found a better way to select the vertices. I said last tutorial it was a very manual process, and it still is, but the way I'm going to show you how to do things now is actually much better and much easier, so you don't have to painstakingly go around and select the wrong vertices and kind of fix that, and it's just much easier. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is bring in one of the characters that I have worked on today for the next episode of my episode 2 of the visual novel. If you haven't seen episode 1, please check it out here on the channel. There'll be a link in the card and in the description below, so you can check that out. And I'm going to continue improving that as time goes on. So next episode is going to be even better. It's going to be mostly Blender. So here we are in Blender. We've already done all the export stuff in DAZ Studio, so we're ready. We just need to bring the character in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the character in. And there is an important note that I would like to make, and it was related to a subscriber of the channel, or someone who was watching the channel, that kind of pointed out something that I'm going to show, and I knew about it, but he brought it to my attention and it really made me think about it. Indian Citizen, I think he subscribed to the channel, really good, brought something really cool to my attention that I want to kind of address. So you bring down File, External Data, and automatically pack resources. I've been using that because it's going to be a lot better for what I'm doing, and what it does is it takes texture maps and things like that normally you access or it references externally and brings them into the Blender file. So if you move those textures, alter them, delete them off your system, all those textures are in the Blender file, okay? So you don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I remapped my folder paths, reorganize things, and now I got to go through into these shader nodes and basically repoint to the right textures. You don't have to worry about that. The only drawback is it makes your Blender files much larger. And so you have to it's a trade-off between, the size of storage space and, whether or not you want to make things easier on your life. What I'm going to do is bring in the character here in the DAZ importer, which is Diffeomorphic, right? So select DAZ importer. I'm going to go to Easy DAZ import, and I'm going to go to this new character I saved, visual novel. I kind of reorganize things, which is the reason I want to move all of the files into the blend file, make things easier for me. So we're going to go to DAZ 3D Studio. We're going to go in here and get to that character that I exported. So I'm going to go in here, and it is here, General Blender. So let's bring the General in. Easy DAZ import over here. Takes a minute to bring in. Now you are going to see, I think, an error, and it's going to be related to some texture maps. I altered a texture map because there was some Chinese writing on the side of this character's holster, and this is in a different universe. It doesn't make sense to have Chinese writing on something that is in a completely different universe. So I altered the texture map, basically repainted it to make it look like it is not, that lettering's gone, right? Let's go in and let's go into the character. We're going to come up, a friend over here, the General. I'm going to show you what he looks like over here in Cycles. Let me get Cycles set up. We're going to go Cycles, going to go to GPU Compute, and we are going to select 500 samples, right? There we go. Let's do this. Okay, this is him. Let's get some viewport shading in there, colors. So we're just going to turn this off. And this is the General, man, part of the Karothan Rebellion. All right. Got these kits. I had to set up the belt and stuff like that. I had to get that modified, and did some work this weekend. It actually looks very, very sexy on him now. Let's not worry about this. The reason it's pink is not because he likes pink. Maybe he does. But it just means that they can't find the texture map. So we're going to come up, and we're going to go to his face. What I want to show you is the eyes of the character are not mapped properly after bringing him in using Diffeomorphic. So we're going to go to the character here, and we're going to go Object Mode, go to Edit Mode. All right, and that's all of his vertices. Let's go and select, let's go into wireframe, which is where we want to be. Now, if I come down and I go to this icon over here. It's the object data properties. Let's go to the hip. Okay, we're in the object data properties. These are the vertex group over here. We're going to select that vertex group, and it's going to show us all the vertices that are assigned to the hip. They're vertices of polygons, all right? Where the polygons are, they're vertices where the polygons points where the polygons meet, okay? And you can take those vertices and assign them to a vertex group. When the name of the vertex, when the name of the vertex group is the same name as the bone, then the vertices automatically move with the bone, okay? We're gonna select the hip, and then we go and we press select. Now this shows us all of the vertices that are assigned to the hip. Great, look, the hip down there, all colored. Beautiful. That's what you want assigned to the hip. But why in the world are the eyes actually part of the hip group? I don't know. For Michael 3, that is what Diffeomorphic's doing. I don't know why, okay? And maybe it's some other character types too. I haven't seen it with any Genesis characters, but the only characters I've exported are Genesis 8 male, Genesis 8 female, and this really old Michael 3, because Michael 3 is awesome still. A lot of the DAZ characters, no matter how old they are still awesome, and this is one of them. So what we're going to do is remove the eye vertices from the hip group. But before we do that, we're going to do a really cool trick that is going to hide other vertices to make it easy for us to select the eyes and connect the eye vertices to the eye bones, okay? And this is different than what I showed in my last tutorial. So let me show you what I'm about to do. Okay, so before we get into doing that, what I want to do is come over, let's get out of edit mode. And so the problem is, when I go and select an eye bone, and I need to go to edit mode, go to pose mode. So if I come in here and I select, and I've shown this before, but go here and select an eye bone and go into pose mode, go and rotate, all right? So yeah, see there, we've rotated the eye, and the problem is the eye doesn't move when it's rotated, okay? And the same thing for his left eye as well, right and left eyes. We're going to do that rotation. His eye isn't moving, okay? And the other problem you see is if you select the neck, you rotate that. Oh my goodness, this is paranormal activity. We don't want that, so we're going to go back. To fix all of this, get out of pose mode, go to object mode, click off the bone, and we're going to go to his mesh, which is M3 blank SR2. Service release 2 is, I think, what that's in. Michael 3 blank service release 2. So we are going to come over and click on the modifiers. This is a little wrench here. And we're going to go and add a modifier. The modifier we're going to add is mask. Okay, so we select the mask modifier, and there is an option there to select the vertex group. The vertex group we're going to select is head, okay? And if we come down here, we scroll down and go to head, right? We're going to select that. Oh. His eyes are disappearing. Let's reverse that. And his head is disappearing. Why is this important? Why do we want to make his head disappear? Okay. So the way it normally is when you have the mask set up this way, it hides everything that's not part of the head. And you can invert it. So you say hide the head, like invert how you hide things and show things. Now it's creepy paranormal activity we got going on here. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go to wireframe. Okay, we click off the wireframe. And the reason we hid this vertex group, okay, let's show it again. If we have all these vertices in here like this, and we go in and we just want to select the right eye because we want to map it to a vertex group, the problem is when we start like dragging across like this, actually, we want to get into edit mode, sorry about that, and we want to drag across like this. Yeah, you were selecting the eye vertices, which is great, right? But if you scroll around, we're selecting a bunch of things that aren't part of the eye vertices. Now you can press Control, hit left click, and drag across, and that will remove those things from the eye vertex group. And we can click Shift now and drag across more vertices to select the eye. The problem is I did it this way, and it's really painstaking. It's really painstaking to get this, just the eyes selected. And I've done it. It's a pain in the butt, okay? So we want to hide all these vertices of the head that isn't part of the eye. And that's why we create this mask vertex group. So when the face is hidden, now we can just select the eye vertex group. So now if I want to take and create a right eye vertex group, we go down and we want to take and assign the right eye vertices right here to that right eye bone. Okay. So we come in here to the, character, right? And we go over here to the object data properties. We need to create a new group, okay, that matches the name of that bone. Well, what's the name of the bone? Let's go find out. Object mode, okay, and we go and select the bone, and we go into pose mode and select that particular right eye bone right there. And we will see highlighted in our pose over here, come down, we go to pose, and it's the bone, the exact bone is highlighted. So we just drill down until we get to that bone. So we're going to go ahead, and now it is called right eye. Okay, and we want to take and copy that because we're going to make a vertex group of exactly that same name. So let's go ahead and do that right there. And I'm just putting it into Notepad because I want to keep it. If I copy something else, I still have the name right there. All right. And we want to go get out of the armature, go over to the character, get out of pose mode, go to object mode, and we want to go down to, let's select the character right here, the mesh, and we can go to add. We want to add a vertex group, and we want to copy that name, okay? And we're going to replace it, just double click group, and we're going to post or name that vertex group the same name as the bone. So we hit enter. That creates a vertex group with the same name as the bone. And what we want to do is now we want to select the vertices that we want to assign to that vertex group. Because the head vertices are missing, all we got to do is just get into edit mode, go into edit mode right there, and then left click and drag across that right eye, okay? So now only the eye vertices, only the vertices of the right eye are selected. And then we come over here and select, make sure we got right eye selected, it is. So just click assign, okay? And to make sure that we have, and we're doing full weight here, I'm not messing with weighting because you don't need it for the eye. The whole eye is moving at the same time. We don't have, for the things that I'm assigning to bones, I don't have to worry about weight mapping here or setting weights. So click off of the eye and then come over here and say, still have right eye selected, say select. And that will show us the vertices that are mapped to that right eye, okay? And now the eye is mapped to the bone, all right? And I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go ahead, since we're already here, we can easily map to the next bone, okay? And if we go into, if we really wanna know what the name of the other bone is, we can select the bone here. We can go into pose mode, or actually object mode, select the name of select that bone right there that's sticking out, and then go to pose mode, okay? Click that bone, and then it says left eye is highlighted. Now what I would do, I already knew the name was left, I knew what it was because I've done this, but just save it off into Notepad here in case I accidentally start copying something else, it's there. And then we want to go back into our mesh, okay, which is here. There's the mesh, okay. We're gonna get out of pose mode, go to object mode, select the mesh, go to edit mode, okay. And now we want to click off. Okay, we're going to make a left eye group. So we copy the name that we copied from the bone, double click the name group, and paste in left eye, the name of the bone. Okay, now it's the name of the vertex group. And then we just left click, drag across, and select all of the vertices for the left eye. The problem is, and I mentioned this before in my other tutorial, is if you are not in wireframe, you're in solid mode right there, and you start selecting bones, looks creepy here, or selecting vertices, it doesn't select the vertices on the backside of the mesh. Okay, you can only select what you can see. So if it's in wireframe, you have access to see all the vertices, left click, drag across, and then that automatically selects all the vertices, okay? And now we go ahead and click assign, click off, and click select just to make sure, hey, those vertices of the left eye are assigned there. Fantastic, awesome. And it's done. we're done. If we come in and go into, let's turn off our mask so we can see all the vertices. So all we have to do is just turn off this, looks like a TV screen that says show or hide the vertices in the viewport, which is what we're looking at. So click that. And, oh, I'm sorry. This is skin. Sorry about that. Over here, turn it off. Or we can just click what looks like the TV real time. That turns off the mask for the viewport. Now we can see all the vertices. So if we come back in and select here, this is going to show us what he looks like in Cycles X. Go to object mode. And now if we come over and we select the right eye bone and we go into pose mode and select rotate, here, select the bone and rotate. Now look what happens, man. His left eye, or right eye, this case, is following, and we can pose his right eye. Amazing, right? Let me undo that. And we can pose it up and down too. When you're looking directly at it, it kind of doesn't handle the movement well, but we're looking there. Eye moves up and down and side to side, which is fantastic, right? This is what we wanted to have happen. Also, let's just verify our left eye bone, right? So come over here, select the eye bone, and rotate it as well. So beautiful. Looks like we set up the vertices and mapped them to the vertex groups, and they were the same name as the bone. That's why we're able to move these things. As you notice, they wouldn't move before, okay? Now, the other problem we have is we still haven't fixed where his head, when we move it, when we rotate it, okay, the eyes are still not gonna quite follow the head, and that's because the eye vertices are still also, in addition to being mapped to the eye bones now, they're still mapped to the hip, and we need to make sure the vertices of both eyes are also mapped to the head as well. So that's what we're gonna do here, okay? We're gonna come in and we are going to set that up. Okay, now we don't have to worry about using the mask anymore. This is a lot more straightforward. I just wanted to show you the mask because it's much easier to select those vertices when you can hide the vertices that are there and cause problems, like with the head here. So we're going to go and get back into object mode. Okay, actually, yeah, object mode. And we're going to select the mesh here. So his mesh, and we're going to go back into wireframe mode. Okay, select off the mesh. And we are going to go down to our object data properties and go to the hip and show again, go into edit mode up here. And I think you can click tab to go from edit mode to object mode. So that's a faster way to do it too. I just clicked it. So hip, and we select, and see, we still got the hip bones or hip vertices selected, but the eye vertices are still part of the hip. Okay, we need to change that. And the reason I did the eyes map to the bone first before I did mapping the eyes to the head, because if we map the eyes to the head and we use the mask to hide the head vertices, it would hide the eyes also. So it's easier to go ahead and do the eyes first so we can hide the head, and the eyes will still be there because they're not part of the head, they're mapped to the hip. Now we're going to make sure that both eyes are mapped to the head, so when we move the head, we rotate it around, then the eyes are going to follow the head the way they should. So we're going to go select the hip. Okay, now we've got select, we still have the eye vertices attached to the head. So what we want to do is click off and click and drag, left click and drag over the eyes, okay? So all the eye vertices are selected. Now we also got the head in there too, and that's fine because we're removing all those vertices from the hip group, all right? Most of the face, I mean, the face isn't part of the hip group anyway, so when we click remove, it's just going to remove, it's not going to be there. And Blender's either going to say, oh, these vertices weren't part of this hip vertex group, or it's going to remove them and they're not part of that group anyway. So the important thing is we get all of the eye vertices in there. And then what we're going to do is click remove. After we got hip selected, click remove, and now click off the mesh and go and select, okay, the hip. Now we don't see anything. That's good. It means the hip vertices are still part of the hip group, hip vertex group, but the eyes aren't. That's good. Now it's really good. So we're going to come down to go to head over here, select the head. Now we want to show what vertices are part of the head. Select, and you'll see the eyes aren't, okay? So we go ahead and left click and drag across the head, which selects the eye vertices. And that's okay if we have parts of the vertices of the head selected, because we're just going to be assigning them and they're already assigned anyway. The important thing is we have all of the eye vertices selected, and we're going to say assign. Okay, now we click off and we go and select. Now you see the eye vertices are part of the head group. If we get out of this and go back into cycles from wireframe, click off the character, go into wireframe, we can actually get out of edit mode, go into object mode. And now if we click the armature and go to object mode, we go to edit mode, or not edit mode, I'm sorry. We go to pose mode. Edit mode would be editing the bones. We don't want to do that. So we want to select the neck bone down here and rotate, and you'll notice, oh my goodness, these eyes are following. He is gorgeous. These eyes are following the character's head, and that's great. And also, if we select the eye vertex here, or the eye bone, still the eyes are moving with the bone. So now everything is correct and everything is right. The main thing is I wanted to show you how to use that mask modifier to really make it a lot easier to select the vertices. I just thought about that today as I was going through this. I'm like, why could I not mask these things off? And it makes it so much easier to do, right? You know? And that's awesome. So that's the big thing I wanted to show in this tutorial. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please let me know in the comments section. Like I said, first episode of the visual novel is out, and you can click the card above or look in the description or the comments. There is a link to that. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. A thing I did. I've been learning basically animation for the last year to tell this story, because I want it to be a fun adventure where everyone enjoys seeing it. It basically kind of takes people away from the problems and frustrations, lets them escape a little bit and kind of like just get their minds off things. Hopefully help them during a dark time in their life, maybe. I know that writing about these stories and characters helped me during a very dark time in my life. So I want to do that for others, and also share the knowledge that I've gained to help others tell their stories and share their stories with the world through their art. Artistically and creatively express themselves, which is fantastic. I love that. But that's what this is about right here. Hopefully you found it useful, and please, if you like what you saw, I'm going to be continuing to do these tutorials every Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday we're going to do a new tutorial. I plan to do that unless something comes up. We're going to be releasing those, and hopefully you find that helpful. So click the subscribe button and also the bell icon, so you get notified when new versions of my when new tutorials come out and new episodes of my visual novel, right? And so thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.